Hey, these are my favourite new release horror movies that you can pick up from JB Hi-Fi for the month of June. Breaking the mold here because today's lineup is actually all horror related TV shows instead of specifically horror movies, but we still got a really cool lineup that was released through the month of June. So as usual, starting off with my favourite release for June, here we have season 1 of the Creep Tapes, which has been put out by Shudder. Now first of all, if you haven't seen the 2 Creep movies that this show is based off, I highly recommend them. I'm pretty sure they're Netflix exclusives, so you can only see them on Netflix, but 2 really cool found footage horror movies basically about this guy who hires people to follow him around with a camera, and he brings them into his house, and spoiler alert, he's a little bit of a creep and some weird stuff starts to go down. Now I actually haven't seen this show yet, but from all accounts it is very similar to the movies, and if it is similar to the movies, I'm sure I'm going to have a blast with this one because like I said, I think those 2 Creep movies are really underrated. Now I'm not sure if this is actually an anthology show where each episode follows a different victim or it's one overall story, but either way, like I said, if it's anything like the movies, I'm sure it'll be a lot of fun and interesting watching. The main thing with this one here, like I said, it is a release from Shudder, and unlike other streaming services like Netflix and Disney Plus, Shudder actually do release physical copies of their movies, and if you're a collector like me and you like to have the physical media, you got to show that support, guys, because if you're not picking it up and you're just watching it exclusively on streaming, they're going to say what is the point, and they're going to stop putting them on shelves. So like I said, when Shudder releases physical media, make sure you get out and support it like I've done here with the Creep Tapes. Another horror related TV show that got a release through June, here we have the complete series of Ash vs the Evil Dead. Now this might be surprising considering a big horror fan that I am, and this show has been out for a while, but I have not seen a single episode of Ash vs the Evil Dead. But not only have I heard that this show is just pretty good in general, but also if you're a fan of the original trilogy of Evil Dead films, apparently this is going to be right up your alley, very similar vibes, and if you're interested in those films, you will have interest in this one. So this is something that I'm super excited that I've been able to pick up, and again, something that I always harp on, if it's a complete series of a show, make sure you pick it up. This is all 3 seasons of Ash vs the Evil Dead. You don't need to pick up anything else now, you have it all here, and surprise surprise, it's another release by Viavision or Viavision, however you want to say their name. I've been harping on them so much lately about how good they are at releasing complete series of horror related TV shows. They've been smashing it out of the park. I do have a wish list for them, but today's video isn't quite the time for that because my wish list for their releases is quite big. But like I said, they've smashed it out of the park. Another complete series, and this time it's for Ash vs the Evil Dead. Still are wondering what horror movies in particular did get a release through the month of June. I do want to highlight the horror movie Heart Eyes. This is a movie from 2025, so this is the newest of new releases. It's only just hit the shelf.